Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It is an absolutely gorgeous Friday morning in the summertime. Beautiful sky, not too hot, not too cold. So it's a beautiful day. As many of you watching know, I am Deb Burton, the executive director and founder of RI Elder Info and rielderinfo.com. We maintain the most comprehensive resources for seniors, for caregivers, and for the professionals who serve them. And every Friday, I come on here at 9 o'clock to share with you different information and resources that you need to know about or someone you know needs to know about. So it's super important that you hit the like button and the share button to help get the word out. Today's conversation is really important because the way the world is going right now, a lot more people than you might think will need the information that we're talking about today. So super important that you hit the like and the share it to your personal pages, share it out to any community groups because people are really going to need to know the information that we're going to talk about today. So as you know, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so you can make donations to us. We're always very appreciative. You can hit the donate button on the website. You can mail us a check. You could hit donate on the Facebook page, any of those wonderful things. We also have some amazing sponsors who support the work that we do. So I have to give a big shout out to Oak Street Health. They are an amazing primary care practice that is in multiple locations in Warwick, Providence, and Woonsocket. Also to Aetna, they are a Medicare provider here in Rhode Island, and I encourage you to check out the programs that they offer their beneficiaries. Big shout out to United Healthcare. They are in their second year with us as our sponsors. They are also a Medicare health insurance provider that also assists individuals with Medicare and Medicaid, and they have lots of benefits available for individuals. So I encourage you to check them out as well. Tamarisk Assisted Living. It's an assisted living right in Warwick. They take care of your loved ones like family. And this magic that you see happening here and the little things that pop up at the bottom, that is through the magic of 321 Media and Ben Barber. He is an amazing live stream expert. And if you visited rielderinfo.com, then you have seen the amazing work that England Studio does. They're an award-winning web design team that's always happy to help you wherever you may be in the world. So again, today we're talking about something really important that has certainly the need has grown exponentially in the last 6 months. So hit the share button. And I would like to introduce Caitlin Mandel. She is the Food Access and Equity Program Manager over at the Rhode Island Food Council. Welcome, Caitlin.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I am good. You are right. It is a gorgeous day. I took a walk this morning, and it's a beautiful, beautiful summer day.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to be here.
You know, Caitlin, one of those things that I think when we think about food access and hunger, a lot of times people are like, at Thanksgiving, I got to donate food at Thanksgiving. But what is happening now during the summertime with all of these prices going up through the roof?
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing an increase in anything? What's changing?
Definitely. I mean, the last 2 years, everybody knows, have been really hard, but I feel like this summer is even worse because we're still dealing with COVID issues. There's a lot of seniors still isolating at home. All of those issues that were exacerbated during the pandemic are getting worse, including gas prices and food prices, and also a lot of the federal benefits for the things that kind of helped us get through the last 2 years are starting to expire. And a lot of the amazing food assistance programs that popped up during COVID and the extra support that we're given to existing programs like Pantry are starting to be reduced. So it's just an extra tough time, but there are a lot of really great organizations in the state trying to help people.
That's really good. So what programs are being reduced? Like what was new during COVID and what is now kind of sunsetting now that I don't want to say COVID's passed because it's not passed,
Yeah.
but we've kind of gotten used to it. So what
Well-
came and is going?
Well, part of my job is to network with food pantries in the state, and anybody in the state, whether it's a state program or a community-based program that's helping with food access. So as I've been onboarding, which is a new role, and that I've been hired, I've been here for about 5 months. So I've been onboarding, I've been meeting with a bunch of people all over the state. And an emerging theme I've heard is, there were existing food pantries who were already doing great work, who had to step up how much food they gave out because there was a greater need. And then there were a lot of new programs that started, and a lot of these new programs, for example, Family Services of Rhode Island was doing a Be Safe, Be Kind food delivery box.
Oh, yeah.
There's an amazing program called the Elijah Project out of Providence. They are delivering a ton of food to people to their houses. So they got some extra funding to take care of people during the pandemic, but they're still taking care of a lot of people. A lot of people still need the help, and some of that federal support is kind of getting reduced. There are a lot of people aware of this and working on it. The governor's budget that just passed for fiscal year 2023 did include $20 million for food assistance and housing assistance nonprofits, which I believe is supposed to go through a grant program through Rhode Island Housing. So I'm sorry, not Rhode Island Housing, the Rhode Island Foundation. So a lot of people are aware of it, but there definitely is a really tricky time right now where these programs that popped up are still serving a really, really critical need. And then there's definitely a little gap in funding right now for a lot of them.
It's interesting. One of the things that we've definitely seen, I'd say in the last 4 or 5 years, is literally everything you see on social media just becomes so political and divisive, and people are very interesting about some of their comments. I'll say that. And I noticed there was a posting that there are now free programs for children to get meals over the summer. Is that program everywhere? And the reason I ask is, usually children are not our topic for RA Elder Info, but I also know that there's 14,000 grand families, 14,000 individuals who are caring for grandchildren. And so, a lot of times our older adults have fixed incomes. So summertime, when there isn't the school food, school lunch program and breakfast program, like these grandparents are paying out of pocket. Where are these programs for the kids to get free meals?
Yeah, that's a really great topic to bring up. So the Rhode Island Free Summer Meal Site is a program that is paid for with federal funding that's administered through the Rhode Island Department of Education, and they're called Rhode Island Free Summer Meal Sites, and they are specifically for that, for all the kids that normally have access to food during the school day, and then the summer comes and they just don't have that anymore. So the state and Rhode Island Department of Education have worked really, really hard to get as many of these meal sites back up and running. So the last 2 years, because of COVID waivers, it was really easy for a community site or a summer camp to be a meal site. But there was this weird time, late spring, early summer, where there was a question of whether these waivers would get renewed. So the point of all this is there are less meal sites than there were the last 2 years, but there's still a lot of them. They're still signing some more on because the federal law passed, they called the Keep Kids Fed Act, that just passed about a week or two ago. So now RIDE is scrambling to get a bunch of meal sites back on site. So what I'm saying is go to the Rhode Island Department of Education website, look for Rhode Island Free Summer Meals. There will be a map and a list, but just keep checking maybe every few days because they're still updating that information. And you can also contact United Way 211, and they will be able to tell you the closest meal sites. And those are really amazing programs. It's a really, really great way for kids and for grandparents to be able to get these meals for their grandkids. And sometimes there's some fun activity kits that go along with the meals, and it's a really great program. So I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think sometimes a lot of people don't realize that there's like the state budget and then there's the federal budget, and the state budget ends on June 30th and starts again on July 1 the next day. But the federal budget goes from October 1 to September 30. And so that little window of time when school gets out, sometimes summer camps haven't started, is also in that weird funding time. So that totally makes sense to me that, like, all right, funding's approved, but you can't really set anything up until the funding's approved because you don't know if you're going to get it. So like, yeah, it makes total sense that things are going to update and update rapidly. So if there's littles out there that are going hungry, there are meals available. So for our older adults, are there programs that are more geared towards our older adults who are facing hunger? With these prices going through the roof, it is not something that Social Security checks have kept up with or disability checks have kept up with. So their income is really fixed coming in, and costs for everything have gone up. Are there resources for our older adults out there?
Yes, there are a lot. And I know even in a state as small as ours, it's kind of hard to know where to go. I mean, your platform obviously is an amazing resource. I like to think of it in there's emergency food needs. So if you have a friend, you go into their house, there's no food in their pantry, you can call 211 or go on the website 211 for United Way or the Rhode Island Community Food Bank, and they'll show you food pantries in your area. But if this is a longer term issue, which understandably it is given the way prices for everything are going, there are a lot of programs set up in our state. A lot of them you've heard of, but I've only been in this position for 5 months, and it's just so incredible how supportive and caring people are and how hard they are trying to work for everybody in our state who needs a little extra food. So obviously Meals on Wheels is an incredible source. I took a tour a few weeks ago, and it was an incredible facility, and they showed me the meals, and they have the last 2 years, they really worked hard to make sure there's more culturally appropriate options. So if you haven't tried Meals on Wheels in a few years, definitely give it another shot.
Meg is awesome over at Meals on Wheels. I love Meg Grady.
She's awesome.
She is doing yeoman's work over there. One of the things that we saw right away when COVID hit and everything shut down, that was Friday the 13th of March 2020, and everything closed. And, one of the first things I did on that Monday was start calling every city in town and say, how are older adults getting their food? And let me tell you, Meals on Wheels had a huge surge, and Meg was amazing and still is amazing.
Yeah,
she didn't stop being amazing.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And touring the facility, I didn't realize all the other ancillary services they have. Like they have a pilot program where they provide pet food because they realize that pets are a form of socialization, and to be able to keep the older adult happy and healthy, it's really important to make sure they can take care of their pet. Just again for that socialization, but also so they don't share their own meals with the pets, which sometimes happen. Even if you can't volunteer for Meals on Wheels, they have lots of programs where you can make Valentines or bookmarks or donate Christmas gifts. So it was just really great how holistic their services are. And then the Office of Healthy Aging, of course, runs a lot of other programs. They have community table sites. They also operate with a program with the Rhode Island Community Food Bank called the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which provides a delivery once a month of shelf-stable, nutritious foods. And again, that program really has done a lot of surveying for their customers to make sure that the food that they give out is what people really can use and is healthy for their diet.
So it's not just a random, here's a whole bunch of pasta and have a
Yeah.
nice day. It's actually, okay, I don't really eat starch because I'm diabetic
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's always a work in progress. I mean, they have to deal with obviously commodity prices and the type of food that they're allowed to buy from the U.S. government, but they really are trying their best to give the most nutritious food they can. There's also a senior farmers market nutrition program that used to be operated by handing out checks at senior centers, but with COVID, it was difficult for some older adults to go to farmers markets and get exposure, and also transportation issues. So the last year or two, this has transitioned to a box of locally grown produce, which is really exciting for farmers. And another exciting update is it's the seniors who are enrolled, and you can go to the DEM website and search Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, and you can see if your local senior center is a distribution point. They're also getting a fall box of vegetables too. So there are some concerns with that program where the seniors may not know what they're getting or how to cook it, but it's definitely a work in progress. And that pivot was made because a lot of the funding that were used to pay for those checks had to be given back to the USDA. So DEM has worked really hard to try to make sure that local farmers are being paid for these vegetables, but it's a work in progress. So don't hesitate to provide some constructive feedback if you have that.
And you know what? I will say they're open to feedback. So there were some communities that were not initially on the list of areas where seniors could go, and they really listened to that feedback. So just like the summer lunches for the kids, I would say if you don't have one of those programs nearby, reach out and double check, because it's certainly possible that it has been added.
Yeah,
so that's super important.
Definitely. Again, everybody I've met doing these programs has been so dedicated. I know sometimes it's hard to know what to do or who to call, but just people have been really receptive. And
yeah, that's awesome. So what are the other opportunities for addressing the needs of folks who are going hungry? What else does the Rhode Island Food Policy Council do?
Well, one program I didn't mention, but I think most people know about, is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. A bill was just passed that we helped. We just submitted a letter of testimony for when it was being considered, and that is a bill that will allow older adults, make it a little bit easier for them to sign up for SNAP, go through the application process, and recertify. So we obviously weren't sponsoring that bill. We can't lobby. We're a nonprofit, but we polled our council members and we said, is it okay if we support this? And we submitted a letter of support. So our council is an independent network organization, and we have 25 volunteer council members from all different aspects of the food system, whether that's a teacher or a restaurant owner or a farmer or farmers market manager. You can apply to be on the council. And we have different work groups that advance some of the specific topics that we work on. But we're a network organization, so we deal with a lot of partnerships. So we partner with Farm Fresh Rhode Island, and they have an amazing food rescue operation called Hope's Harvest. So we partner with those organizations, and sometimes we partner with them on writing a USDA grant that will allow an infusion of cash to purchase local food for institutions such as schools or hospitals. We also run pilot programs so we can really get that important evaluation data that will allow us to advocate for future policies. So another example of that is last year, the Food Policy Council partnered with this really great nonprofit grocery delivery program called Cartwheel Rhode Island. And what that did was—
Shout out to Cartwheel. They've been on the show. They're an absolutely amazing program.
Yeah, it's definitely a very much needed service. The transportation and delivery food infrastructure is a really big issue for us too, and it's definitely something we hear a lot for not only older adults who maybe don't have access to transportation and or need to stay home for health reasons. Um, yeah, it definitely needs a little bit more infrastructure for that type of service. But the pilot program allowed people to shop either online or over the phone with a multilingual speaker, and place a grocery order, pay for it with their SNAP card, and um, and then the delivery fees would be covered. And it was a really popular program. It helped people get food. It helped people pick out their own food, which is really important if you can do that. And it allowed us, so now we can say like SNAP, buying SNAP, using SNAP to buy groceries online is really helpful, but you need to have a phone line or a helpful service because not everybody can or wants to use an app or an online portal.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to have a phone line and people speaking different languages to take those orders. And you can't expect people to use their EBT card to pay for delivery fees because it's just too much money. So that's another example of a way that we do our work.
Is finding all those barriers to getting access to food. Yeah, Cartwheel has a very cool model that there are individuals who are able to utilize Cartwheel and they get the food delivered and they can make a donation so that they're paying, so that the individual receiving the groceries that day is actually paying it forward for someone who can't afford to have the groceries delivered in any other means.
Yeah.
So
And
it's an awesome program. They're actually doing a fundraiser pretty soon.
yeah, those models are really important. I mean, one thing I've learned in my previous job, I worked at Hope in Maine. And during COVID, we launched this program called Nourish Our Neighbors, where we fundraised and then you paid that money, paid the people who were making food in the kitchen, like the caterers and the chefs, to make single serving frozen meals that they still give out at the farmers market once a week, but they also give out to local partners like senior centers and Head Start. And just the amount of support from the community and the state allowed us to just continue to raise funds. It was just incredible. And then we started a program called Buy One, Give One, where the dinners are available to anybody. You pay an elevated price. I can't remember how much it is, but I should. But it's
okay.
Maybe like 16 or 18. And then that buys you a meal to enjoy because the meals are incredible. And then that allows the program to donate one on the side to one of their partners. So just like the Cartwheel model, it's incredible how when you make it easy like that, people are just incredibly generous. And it's a really great way for us all to support the people in our state that need the little extra nutrition.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about food. We're not talking about, I need a new pair of running shoes. This is hunger.
Yeah.
You know? And you had mentioned the Hunger Elimination Task Force.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say a little bit more about that? And do you have any upcoming meetings, or if people wanted to join, how do they do that?
Definitely. I'd love to. Thank you. So the Hunger Elimination Task Force was started, I believe, in 2014, but it was part of the Rhode Island food strategy. And Governor Gina Raimondo at the time, as part of that, our whole food plan that was launched for the state, part of that was launching the Hunger Elimination Task Force. And so this is an ongoing effort to help reduce food insecurity in the state. And right now, the Rhode Island Food Policy Council co-facilitates this with the Rhode Island Department of Health. And what we do is we have quarterly meetings where anybody who has an interest in food access for the state or is working in this field can join, and we problem solve and talk about different issues, and we have working groups. We have a meeting coming up Tuesday, July 26th at 2 p.m., 2 to 3:30. And I'm really excited about this because the theme this time is innovations in healthcare. So we're going to be talking with a lot of different practitioners around the state who have some really great programs that pair a medical facility with nutrition access. So for example, that might be a doctor doing nutrition screenings at an appointment, or one thing I'm really excited about is vegetable prescription programs where a
Ooh,
doctor can write a prescription for fresh fruits and vegetables, and then there's basic organizations in the state that will get a local vegetables and deliver it to that person or provide it to that person. So
I
there's a
think
lot of
that's
good stuff.
something all of us need, more
Yeah,
fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that.
yeah,
It's kind of interesting to me because a lot of times I don't think people realize, particularly as we get older, how important nutrition is, how important food is. So, like, I get that cooking for one is not always fun. And, sometimes our older adults are just like, I'll make some soup. I'll open a can of name that brand soup, or I'll just, make a cheese sandwich. But when their body isn't getting the actual nutrition and nutrients and vitamins and minerals that they need, it can be really detrimental to their muscle strength and their bone strength. And those are two of the biggest things that prevent falling. And by preventing falling, you're increasing your likelihood of being able to stay home as you age. And a lot of times I don't think people get that eating right isn't just something that we all should do, but that
yeah,
it makes a huge difference, particularly in our older adults.
yeah,
Where you and I, like, we might be more physically active. So, if we're grabbing a burger, fries, and Coke at a fast food joint in between meetings, we're more physically active. So we're going to more likely burn maybe not all of those calories, but some of those calories off. But then we'll have a balanced meal later in the day,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that makes a difference for our
yeah.
older adults in a big way.
Yeah, it really does. It's definitely an investment in health and future health, and it can get overwhelming so easily. And sometimes it is harder. I mean, you get a butternut squash, and it's this beautiful locally grown item, but sometimes as I learned, you don't have to peel it. You can still chop it up and roast it, but it takes a lot of work sometimes. But one thing I've learned, even just with my own eating habits, is just to start small. I maybe shop at my farmer's market once every 3 weeks, and I'll have a really healthy week that week. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I found that the more I do it, the more interested I get in it, and the easier it gets. And it's definitely a very fulfilling thing. And I know at our last Hunger Elimination Task Force meeting, we had PACE RI, which I'm not sure if you had that in their program, but they installed a commercial kitchen. They source locally grown produce for a lot of their meals that they make on site, and it's been a really, really popular program. And I know that their CEO, Joan Kwiatkowski, she had looked into medically tailored meals for her clients, but she found that they weren't as helpful as for some people with chronic illness as just good quality, nutritious food. And so that program is something that's really exciting.
Yes, it's an awesome program that a lot of people don't know about. I toured the facility and I actually met their chef, and she's like
Oh,
super excited about what she's able to do. And I
yeah.
think that and it can make a difference too when you're participating in a program and it's somebody in the kitchen who's really engaged and really invested in
Mm,
making something tasty and healthy.
hmm. Definitely.
You know,
I will.
I just want to say real quick, there's been a lot of advertising. I feel like I see it all the time of, well, you can never eat as many fruits and vegetables as you're supposed to every day. So here, take this pill from the red bottle and take this pill from the green bottle and everything's going to be fine. That's
Yeah.
not real.
Yeah.
Great sales pitch, but not real.
I know. It's so tempting too. It makes it sound so easy.
Yes.
I do want to shout out, I know that there's the URI SNAP Edge department that has incredible nutrition education resources. You can just go on their website and print out pages. And then another program that we featured at the last Hunger Elimination Task Force was the Bristol Health Equity Zone. They have online
Okay.
cooking classes with the local chef. It's very personable. And if you're local to Bristol Warren, I believe if you register in time, you can pick up a bag of free groceries to cook the meal with. But anybody can watch the class and follow along. And I think, and she definitely makes cooking really, really fun. And I think the meals sound incredible, but I know that she breaks it down to teach really great techniques, so it's not so overwhelming.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out and have her on, because
Yeah.
Everybody who knows me personally, I joke and say, cooking with Deb, because, I kind of set the grill on fire. I just smoked that grilled cheese, and I'm just going to scrape the black off, and we're going to try to eat it. Cooking is not my skill set by any wild stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to have to check out that Bristol Health Equity Zone. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. I'm with you too. I mean, the way I get most fruits and vegetables is when I make a smoothie, which I don't do that every day, but when I do, it's a good way to pack them all in there.
Yes. I am. Carrie Lynn said microwavable meals.
Yes.
Those are always good options.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So if people wanted to support what it is that you're doing, whether it's through the Rhode Island Food Policy Council or if it's through the Hunger Elimination Task Force, how can they do that? Are you a nonprofit? Do you need donations? Do you need volunteers? Do you need committee members? What would help move this forward so that there are, it'd be great to eliminate hunger in Rhode Island, but at least reduce hunger in Rhode Island. How can they help?
Yeah, I think the best way, honestly, would be to sign up for our newsletter. We have Rhode Island Food Policy Council specific newsletter, but when you sign up for it, you can also sign up for the monthly Hunger Elimination Task Force newsletter. So there's 2 once-a-month newsletters that are very chock full of information. But I think that's a really great way to follow along and understand the landscape of what's going on. And the monthly newsletter that I facilitate is called the Rhode Island State Food Access Bulletin. And that really elevates our partner organizations that are doing amazing work. We would take donations. We are a nonprofit, but a lot of our work is through our partners. So I think just signing up for that information, you'll get an idea of where you can pitch in, however is most desirable to you. We have working groups that we always love people to join. It's a network, so the stronger our network is and the more diverse perspectives and experiences we have, it's just going to make all of our efforts a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a comment that, really pointed out that pretty much everything moves by truck. And so, part of the initiatives that are coming out impact that. And it's having voices at the table. All voices, diverse voices. I think that's really, really important that people participate. And to join these groups, to join these committees. If there wasn't a voice saying, wait a minute, this is not the kind of food that I would eat, then you'd keep, creating resources that people don't use and then say, oh, well, there must not be hunger because nobody's coming.
Exactly.
So that's super important. I am loving what it is that you do, because hunger in this country, when I hear that something crazy like 20 or 40% of our food gets thrown away, just is insane. It's not okay. We can do better.
Yeah,
we can do
I'm
better.
with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So I'd also say maybe if people want to help those in need, they can support those programs, the Nourish Your Neighbor, the Cartwheels, the PACE organizations, any of those. Donate food to your food pantry, volunteer.
Exactly.
Donate to Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't donate, make a bookmark for their clients. There's just lots of ways to get involved.
Yeah, awesome. Caitlin, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for what you do. We really appreciate it. And it's definitely, there's so much incredible work going on, but it's hard to get the notice out there and the information out there. So what you do is so important.
Yes, thank you. I'll see you at your meeting on July 26th.
All right.
I'm going to sign up for that.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
So as you can see, folks, there are a lot of resources to help people get connected to food. it is sad that we need to get people connected to food and that we don't have enough, people don't have enough food, but there are resources out there, and we all know that we've gone to the grocery store and that bag of groceries that used to be $25 is now costing you maybe 60 or 70. And that's impacting everybody, including our older adults with fixed incomes. And we don't want our seniors going hungry. We can do better than that. We can do better than that as a society. So really important that you support the organizations that we talked about today. I really encourage you to join the Hunger Elimination Task Force. We can eliminate hunger in this state, but it's going to take all of us working together. So super important, because this is something that is impacting a lot of people, and sometimes people are embarrassed to talk about it, that you hit the share button on this and get this information out. Really, really important, because there are a lot of your neighbors who are going without, who you maybe would not have expected. So that is all for today. I look forward to seeing you all next week. In the meantime, visit rielderinfo.com and be well and be kind.
If you like this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.